Is it safe? Is it legal to be gay or be a part of the LGBTQ community within the black community? Because ever since I read this book, Sky Full of Elephants by Sibo Campbell, I have been thinking about that. This book is about the United States of America if white people stop existing and black people got to thrive. And in this world, there were people that are part of the LGBTQ community. They were getting to enjoy the benefits of thriving in a predominantly black society where everybody's living good and doing well. But it got me thinking about in the real world, would that be possible? Would it be possible for black LGBTQ people to exist in that kind of society? When I was reading this book, it was also the same time that Aisha Speed was touring Africa. And I love all of that. But then it has me thinking, would I be safe going there? The only place that I know so far in Africa that is LGBTQ plus safe for the most part is South Africa. And that had me thinking, can you only be safe as an LGBTQ person amongst in a community with other black people if white people exist as a part of that? White people have to be a part of that, which is because to me that's so funny and that's so crazy, because to me, from what I understand and from what I've learned, white people are the people that brought the ideas and the thoughts that being a part of the LGBTQ community is wrong. Being gay, being bisexual, that's all wrong. They brought that with their beliefs, with Christianity, with colonization. They brought all of that. And a lot of that comes from them needing to turn black people into a commodity, into their cattle so that they could build the West up. But from also what I've learned prior to that, in Africa, there were still LGBTQ people within those communities. They just weren't called that, but they existed. They were a part of it. They were a part of African society, of African civilization. There was a king that was gay, and there was a woman that was a king. She was the head of her village. We existed prior to white people coming. But the funny thing is, a lot of black people are enforcing that and saying that to be LGBTQ, to be gay is wrong, and that's bad, and that's not okay. And it's on the other side where it's like white people are fighting for, especially white men, are the ones fighting for gay marriage, and they're fighting to be the ones that are like, we want to just live as gay and queer and whatever. And then there are black people fighting against it. Black people are saying that, well, that's a white man's thing. And it's like, I don't even think it's a white man or a black man thing, or it's a white people thing or a black people thing. I think it's, to me, at the end of the day, we just going to use the term LGBTQ because I do not know what the pre-colonization terms would be. But at the end of the day, being a part of the LGBTQ community, I think that is a natural thing to our existence, to society as people. I do think that, especially when it comes to sexual orientation, I do think in a way we are a natural birth control, a kind of natural balance to society, because people try to use the whole, oh, two men can't have kids, two women can't come together and have kids. But it still also doesn't stop the fact that they could still have kids. They just would not be able to have kids with each other. They are still capable of having children with somebody of the opposite sex. It's just that they're not romantically in love or even fully sexually attracted to this other person. They would actually be with somebody of the same sex, same gender, because that's who they're attracted to. I do think that as black people, as African people, it was community minded. So to have queer and LGBTQ people, it wasn't just like, oh, it kind of mitigates how many more kids that are coming into the world. They were community members that were able to help raise the younger generation coming up within their communities. I do think that LGBTQ people are a part of life. They're a part of society. They're a part of communities. They're a part of the world, and they're supposed to be a part of it. I feel like because as black people, we're not incorporating LGBTQ people into our societies, our communities, and we're like, oh, they gotta be out. They gotta be on the sides. They gotta be outskirts. They gotta be taken out of existence, and they can't be a part of the black community. I do think that in a way, it's not the only thing that might be at times holding us back as black people. But I think that's part of the conversation. I feel like suppressing LGBTQ people, putting them to the sidelines, making them lesser, making them not exist, seem like, oh, to be gay, to be trans, to be lesbians, to be bisexual, that's not African, that's not black. That's not black. I think that's taking away a necessary resource that can be added to the Black community. The helping hands of lesbian and gay and trans people to be able to benefit the rest of the community, their ideas, their thoughts, their vision. That can contribute to the Black community as an overall thing. And because you're taking that out at times, you're taking away a resource, you're taking away a people, you're taking away a voice and a perspective that can shift Black people, African people, into a better place in society, a better existence in society. It's not going to be the only thing. It's good. There's going to be other aspects that need to be within the Black community to shift us to a better position. But I do think being anti-LGBTQ is not really a benefit to Black people. It's just not. Being anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-lesbian. Because at the end of the day, we're still going to exist. Just this week. Yes, just this week. They lynched this boy in Nigeria for being gay. 23-year-old man with another consenting adult, with another man. They killed him. They tied him up and threw him off a building for being gay. I've heard stories like that before, I think in other African countries where I think they put a man or two men that they caught having sex together or something like that and put them in a tire and burned them alive in the street. That's not okay. You doing this to other Black people for loving other Black people. Two consenting adults being together. And the funny thing is, this same week, they showed a video of this woman slapping up this man because she found out that he was touching on a little girl. And then the men in there, after she slapped them up a little bit, they come in and saying, stop. It's okay. Like, now y'all being pedophile protectors. But you wouldn't tie his ass up, which you really probably shouldn't just be tying people up and throwing them off a building. Civility, law, send him to jail kind of thing. But you wouldn't tie him up and throw him off a fucking thing because he's out here sexually assaulting, raping little children. You wouldn't do that. But you would do that to a gay man. As much as I love this book and as much as the queer people within the queer representation in this book was really good, I also feel like the queer representation was a little light in this book too because it never really showed you actually queer people being in a relationship, being in love in this society. That's what really pushed my mind to thinking about, would queer and gay people be able to exist within this community? Do they just have to exist as, I'm not going to be in a relationship with nobody? I'm not going to be in a relationship with people that I actually want to be in a relationship with. If I'm a man and I want to be in a relationship with another man, I'm not going to be with that because I already know in the Black community, that's not okay and that's not going to be acceptable. But if I decide, I'm gay, but I'm just not going to be with anybody, I'm just going to be single, and when you and another man are attracted to each other, you want to be with each other, but the society saying, no, y'all can't be together. But I'm hoping in the near future, mindsets and attitudes change. But I ain't going to lie, that's going to be hard. They out in Africa and in the Caribbean, from my understanding, white evangelicals and in turn Black evangelical Christian people are going to Caribbean countries, predominantly Black countries, Caribbean and African countries, and they're like spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. And in turn, with that comes anti-LGBTQ, anti-gay, anti-trans beliefs, doctrine, rhetoric, and all that stuff. It's continuing to perpetuate that within society, within Black communities, and then Black, gay, and LGBTQ people have to suffer for that. We got to suffer when we just trying to exist and trying to live a good life, trying to find love, trying to do all of that. And I ain't gonna lie, I want to be in a relationship with a Black man. I want to go back to a West African country. I could go back and visit, but I won't exactly be able to be my full self in these countries. Because I have a feeling like if you go and you cool with everybody, there's probably going to be some auntie, some uncle or somebody talking about, you got a girlfriend? Who you like, I got a girl for you. And you're like, you got to tell them, no, I'm not interested. Don't want to be in a relationship. But because you can't really tell them that, I'm gay. Do you have a man for me? Do you got a guy for me? Do you have a man for me? They're not going to have that for me. They're not going to have that for me. But I definitely want to visit. I definitely want to find out where my ancestry it comes from on my African side, because I'm very sure that there is some white ancestry within my lineage that comes from slavery, and it comes from forcible sexual intercourse with one of my ancestors. I'm pretty sure that's in there. So some set of Europeans gonna come up. But I definitely want to find out what parts of Africa, what countries in Africa my family or my ancestry has come from. But I have a feeling it's definitely going to be West African. It's likely going to be Nigeria and Ghana. And to me, though, from what I've learned, those are very anti-LGBTQ places. And I would still visit at the end of the day, but it's also like I would love to one day live there, but I don't think I would actually be able to. You can learn the vibe of the society and you learn how everything goes once you live there, and you could find where LGBTQ people exist and they live and they thrive, and you could figure all that stuff out because you've lived there long enough. But the fact that there's so much danger that comes with that, it's really going to be some on the down low living. It just makes me think that so I'm gonna just have to go to South Africa then. I'm gonna just like if I wanted to live in an African country, I would just have to go to South Africa and visit all the other countries just to experience them. And I was about to say it was gonna be I would end up having to live in Johannesburg because from my understanding, Johannesburg is probably I don't know how safe fully South Africa is, if it's mostly South Africa or if it's just like Joburg. But then I learned it's pretty well. I heard Cape Town is very white, so it's probably gonna be a little bit more gay friendly, from my understanding. But I would definitely live in South Africa. I like the vibe of South African people anyway. I am hoping that in the near future, that as Black people, as African people, we can move toward acceptance of LGBTQ people and understanding that they are part of our society, of our communities, and they are not a blight on society. And at the end of the day, LGBTQ people are just like everybody else. There can be good and there can be bad. There are people that can do good things and they could do bad things, just like there are straight people that will do good and bad things. But being able to allow people to exist as themselves, honestly and authentically, and in their authenticity, they are not harming anyone. They're not being destructive to community, to society, to the earth. I'm praying that we get there one day as Black, as African people one day.